Okay, so what I've got now is my chicken is simmering away on a very low heat, so essentially just steaming. And now I'm probably gonna do what's probably the most involved part of the whole thing. So I'm gonna make some guacamole. So I'm just making guacamole for me. So I'm just gonna use the one avocado. I've got a tomato, which I'm probably gonna use about half of. I've got the rest of that red onion. Again, because I'm only making it for one, I'm gonna use half a red onion. I've got a lime, some coriander, some jalapenos, some pickled ones, and a bit of chili sauce. So if there's anything here you see that you don't like, so you don't like coriander at all, then you can of course just leave that out. If you don't want it to be too spicy, then you can probably leave out the chili sauce. The jalapenos I like because they kind of add a little bit of acidity and a little pickle flavour. So I'm just gonna cut this avocado in half. I might use a spoon to scoop it out. Ooh, drop it on the table. There you go. So avocado in there. Yeah, so avocado in. I'll get my red onion, take the skin off that. Some people want their red onion sliced. I like mine finely diced, essentially, so as finely as I possibly can. So if you know how to dice the onion, then ignore this. If you don't, then here's a little tip. So you want to leave, if you look at it, you see a little bulb, kind of the root bit at this end. So I want to have that facing away from me. I'm then going to get my knife and make slits all the way down it, as close together as I can, but importantly without going right to the end. So the slits, so I can fan it out, but it's all still intact for the time being. Some people like to slice across. I don't bother because the way that I've cut my onion in half, it's already done the slicing across for me. So now that we've been that way, we just turn it around 90 degrees and pretty much do the same motion. And we'll get some finely diced red onions. You'll get to the little end bit that we didn't slice up at all, and I just kind of hack away at that just to make it as small as I possibly can. Little chunks of onion aren't going to hurt anyone. So that's some onion in, like that. Alright, so then some tomato. I'm going to cut it in half. Personally, I like to take the seeds out. I think that you get it a little bit drier and the guacamole isn't quite as sloppy if you take the seeds out. If you really like the seeds, then by all means keep them in, or put them into a bowl, and if someone wants to drink the kind of sweet inside of the tomato, then go for it. Alright, so I've got my tomato, which is quite small, so I'm probably going to use all of it. Another tip for cutting tomatoes is if you put your knife on the skin side, it's going to slide off a lot. Whereas if you put it on the flesh side, you'll find it much easier to slice into. So I'm just going to cut strips to start with, like that. So they're about maybe just under 1 centimetre across. So there you go, I've cut the strips, and I'm just going to turn them like the onion, turn it 90 degrees, and cut them into squares again. I'd say they're probably about, at the moment, 8mm squares, but if you did bigger, then that's fine. If you want it smaller, then go for it. Again, it doesn't need to be neat, it's all going to get mixed up anyway. So that's my tomato, going to slide that in. Alright, now I really love coriander, so I'm going to use a fair bit of it. If you don't like coriander at all, then obviously don't put it in. If you've got someone in your family who doesn't like it and they're going to complain, then I'd say don't put it in the guacamole and slice it up so you can put it on top of your tacos at the end. And that way, people who want it can have it, and then those who don't aren't going to complain too much. So again, I'm just going to chop that as fine as I can. Go over it a few times with a knife like that. It doesn't need to be neat at all. It's all going to get mushed up. Slide that this way. All right. So that's that done. I've got some. Well, actually, I've only got enough jalapenos in here for what I want, so take them all out. I'm going to use about 4 or 5 little jalapenos. If you don't like it that hot, then do less, obviously. And again, just cutting these up kind of as small as I can. Well, as small as I can be bothered to do, really. That's going to do. Another thing I like to do is just get a little teaspoon of the actual juice from the jalapeno, maybe a little bit more than a teaspoon, because that gives you like a really nice acidity and kind of that pickled kind of chili flavour. Next, going to get a lime. You can use a lemon, you could use, I don't know, a funny tasting orange. You could probably just use vinegar even if you didn't have either of those, or just more of the jalapeno juice and squeeze in the lime juice. Again, I quite like mine quite limey, so I'm going to put in a whole lime. If you don't like it as limey, then put in less. And then finally, I'm putting in some chili sauce. If you don't like chili, then don't put in the chili sauce, obviously. Now, I controversially am going to mush this up with my hands. I think that's the best way to get everything evenly mixed through and a nice texture. If you don't want to use your hands that much, then you can use a fork, or if you could just put it on a glove if you really want to. But my hands are clean, so I'm going to mush it up like this. And I like mine quite chunky as well, so I'm going to leave it like that. One thing I did forget was a little pinch of salt, so I'll put that in. You can put some pepper in if you want, there's not too much need. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. There's your guacamole. Just put it to the side with the onion, and that's it.